Hi, I wanted to present a little information, and this is called The More You Give, the More You Get. And it's about the hormone that's released when we touch each other in a loving and kind way called oxytocin. And this is often called the hugging hormone or the cuddling hormone, which is great, but right now you might not have anybody to cuddle with. And so I wanted to make this video about not cuddling with yourself, but touching yourself in loving and kind ways and all the incredible things that it can do for you and our world. Let's see, where should we begin? So on the surface of the skin are 1.8 billion nerve endings. And when we touch those nerve endings in a kind way, it enters in through the sensory of our skin and it goes into our nerves and into the spinal column, spinal cord, and the brain. And then we get this hormone released called oxytocin, and it makes us feel good. And it's not, yes, of course you get some juice when you're just being touched, but you get a lot more juice if you're the toucher. So that's really cool to know. So now we're gonna be the toucher and the touchee at the same time. And so there's a couple things that we can start with. First, if you're feeling a lot of stress or feeling a sense of just being overwhelmed by the news, or maybe it's not news, you're out on the street, or your whole life you've experienced it, you can start with this beautiful lymphatic exercise to stimulate the heart and the lymph here in the breast area, and you're just kind of making little semicircles. I learned this from Lisa Levitt Gainsley, and she is on Instagram if you want to look her up. She's awesome. She's a lymphatic immunologist, okay? And so we're just breathing in here, though, through the nose, and breathing out through the mouth, and really feeling like you're releasing the tension that wherever it accumulates. This really is great for releasing tension in the head, skull, mandible, jaw. And you can do this like 10, 11 times. You don't want to really push too hard. You're just kind of making this little, she called it a rainbow. Okay, so that's a really good place to stimulate. Generally in yoga, we breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. And the reason for this is it stimulates the olfactory nerve. The olfactory nerve stimulates the hypothalamus. This stimulates the pineal, and it softens us. And when we're softer, we start to, the boundaries start to be obscured. Like, where is the end of me and where's the beginning of you? And when that is kind of obscured in a good way, in a realistic way, in the way that science shows us, we feel less fear. And when we feel less fear, we're more able to do things to each other that are kind, and even when it might be challenging, if somebody yells at you, put on a mask. Instead of being reactive, you might just go and get a mask and put it on. Okay, so the next point, this is an Ayurvedic marma point. It's called Manya Mula, and it's, yes, the occipital ridge. And Manya means manas, mind, thought, and Mula means the root. So this is the occipital ridge, and you're just going to massage it. I always recommend clockwise, unless you know there's a lot of inflammation. Then you can do some counterclockwise. But I really just, I love to do this. And this will stimulate oxytocin. So it's right near to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is like the wandering nerve, and it goes throughout our body, and it stimulates a lot of secretions and joy, and picks up negative energy, affects our nervous system or positive. So this is really a positive way to affect oxytocin, the vagus nerve, and the system. And then you're just gonna take your hands, I guess I should just stay turned around, and take both index finger and middle finger and just draw gently along that ridge until you get down behind your skull in that bony protuberance at the base of the ear, which this is also called base of the ear point. Karna mula. Karna is ear, mula is root. Okay, so then you're going to take this, get your hair out of the way, and very gently, with light pressure, draw it down the neck to these points on either side of the middle of the throat. And again, you can tell that I'm doing clockwise, and then I'm going to pull out to my shoulders and just breathe while you're doing this. You can keep breathing, exhaling through your mouth if you're feeling like the stress is still very apparent. Then take your hands into your armpits, and you're just taking the tissue from the side and the front, and you're pushing it up into your armpit. You don't want to push the armpit down. You want to push the energy up into your armpit because, again, axillary lymph right there, really powerful area to help release and cleanse the interstitial fluid, which has bacteria and viruses and toxins. So we're just helping get the toxins into the lymph, and the lymph be able to take care of them. So all of these are wonderful for you to uplift yourself. And of course, that is going to uplift your world. So I hope you enjoyed. Namaste. Take care of yourself and be safe.